Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today we are packing our bags, mentally at least, and heading to a city that is somehow one of the most organized and yet uh, utterly bewildering places on Earth,
Uh,
Tokyo.
yeah.
But we're not just going to review the sushi or visit the shrines. We're trying to solve a very specific puzzle.
Uh-huh.
How do you actually live there?
Which is a puzzle that has defeated many, many intelligent people. I mean, if you've ever even glanced at a Japanese real estate listing, you know the feeling.
Oh, absolutely.
It feels like you're trying to read the Matrix Code or something. It just operates on a completely different set of rules than, say, New York or London.
It really does. I was digging into the research for this, and the Tokyo housing market feels less like a market and more like a wild experiment in urban density.
Yeah.
On one hand, you have these horror stories, or I guess adventure stories, depending on your view, of people living in shoeboxes, where you can literally cook dinner while lying in bed.
Right.
And then you flip the page, and there are these sprawling, multi-million-dollar penthouses with views of Mount Fuji that look like they belong to a Bond villain.
The gap between those two realities is just massive. But what's so fascinating is that the confusion isn't just about the extremes. It's the mechanics of it all. You could be a seasoned traveler, maybe you've lived in 3 different countries.
And you think you've seen it all.
Exactly. But you land in Tokyo, you're staring at a floor plan that says 2 LDK, and you have absolutely no idea what you're looking at, or if you'll even fit inside.
Exactly. So that is our mission for this deep dive. We're going to decode that alphabet soup of Japanese listings so you know what you're actually renting.
We need to.
We're going to look at the hidden space traps because apparently 30 square meters in Tokyo isn't always 30 square meters.
Not even close.
And we're going to explore why the traditional rental model is, well, kind of breaking down for foreigners and why service departments are suddenly exploding in popularity.
And to help us navigate all this, we're pulling a lot of our data and insights directly from the team at moveandstay.com.
Right. And this context is so important because they aren't just a booking engine. They've been operating in this space for over 25 years. They specialize in these extended stay solutions, service departments, hotels, serviced offices, all across Asia Pacific.
So when we talk about trends like this shift in how professionals are living in Tokyo, we're basing that on their historical data. They've helped thousands of people find that, soft landing.
They really track the evolution. They've seen the market go from being just for the corporate executive to this whole new mix of entrepreneurs and digital nomads. Their perspective is just incredibly valuable.
For sure.
So let's jump into the deep end. Segment 1, the jargon. I mentioned 1R and 1LDK earlier. When I first saw 1R, my nerdy brain immediately went to Star Wars droids.
Huh. I can see that.
But I'm guessing it's less sci-fi and more literal.
Oh. Much more literal. But it is a logical shorthand once you get it. The number refers to the bedrooms, and the letters tell you what kind of common space you have.
Okay.
So let's start with the absolute entry-level unit, the 1R.
One room.
Literally one room. This is that classic Tokyo shoebox we were talking about.
Yeah.
It's a single room that combines your living area, your sleeping area, and your kitchen. Usually no walls separating anything.
Okay, so paint a picture for me. I walk in the front door. What am I seeing?
You walk in, and you're likely in a very narrow hallway that is also your kitchen. You take one step, your elbow hits the fridge. You take another step, you're standing next to the single burner stove.
Oh, wow.
You take a third step, and you basically fall into your bed. That's a 1R.
Okay, so intimate is an understatement. We're talking, what, 15 square meters?
Usually about 15 to 20 square meters. It's hyper efficient, but it is very, very tight.
So if I want to cook a meal without grease splattering on my pillow, I need an upgrade.
Then you're looking for a 1K. The K stands for kitchen. In a 1K, you still have your one main room, but there's a door, or at least a wall, separating the little kitchenette from the room where you sleep.
That seems like the bare minimum for sanity.
It helps a lot with smells and noise, yeah.
But the one we see a lot in the Move and Stay data for couples or, professionals is the 1LDK.
Right. LDK stands for living, dining, and kitchen. So a 1LDK is one bedroom plus a separate area that's big enough for a sofa, maybe a small dining table, and the kitchen.
So this is where it starts to feel more like a Western apartment,
This is the threshold, yeah. You're probably looking at maybe 35 to 40 square meters.
which is still compact by global standards.
Yeah.
But here's where I want to challenge the numbers. I was reading about how these spaces are measured, and it feels a little deceptive. You can rent a place that says it's 30 square meters, but when you move in, it feels like 20. Where'd the other 10 meters go?
This is the trap. This is the one that catches almost everyone. You have to understand the difference between how the space is listed and what you can actually live in.
Okay.
There are two main ways to measure: Heikishin and Uchinori.
Heikishin and Ukinori. All right, break that down for us.
So Heikishin means wall center measurement. A lot of listings use this. It measures the area from the center of one wall to the center of the opposite wall.
Wait, hold on. So you're saying I'm paying rent for the thickness of the concrete wall?
Exactly. You're paying for the concrete and the insulation inside the wall. And if the walls are thick, which you want for soundproofing, you might be losing a pretty significant percentage of your floor area to the structure itself.
That is wild. So the listing says 30 meters, but I can't put a bookshelf on the inside of a wall.
Precisely. You need to look for the Ukinori measurement. That's the inner wall measurement, or
Yeah.
specifically the term senyumanseki. That's the usable private area.
Okay.
And even then, there's another cultural feature that's eating into your space.
The Genkin?
The entryway, right? Yes. In Japan, you never, ever wear shoes inside. So every single apartment, no matter how microscopic, has a dedicated genken, a lowered area right inside the door just for shoes. It's non-negotiable.
So in a 20 square meter apartment, I might have a 2 square meter shoe area that I can't really use for anything else.
Correct. You can't put a table there. It's considered the dirt zone. So between the genken, the wall thickness, maybe a small hallway, your 20-meter studio might only have 12 meters of actual usable living space.
That is a crucial distinction. Okay, so we've got the layout traps. Now let's talk about the buildings themselves. Because when I picture Tokyo, I see that whole Blade Runner skyline neon glass, super futuristic.
Mm-hmm.
But then you look at street level and there are all these gray, blocky buildings from the 70s and 80s just everywhere.
It's a city of massive contrast. And in real estate, the age of the building is probably the single most important variable. It dictates the price more than almost anything else.
And I assume everyone just wants the new stuff, the shiny new builds under 10 years old.
Of course.
Yeah.
I mean, new builds command a huge premium. They have all the modern amenities, auto locks, delivery lockers, better insulation. But it's not just about having a shiny lobby.
It's about safety.
It's about safety. We're talking about earthquakes.
Right.
Japan is one of the most seismically active places on Earth. And the watershed moment you have to know about is 1981.
1981. Why is that year so important?
That was the year the new Seismic Construction Standards Act was updated. Buildings built after 1981 are built to a completely different, much stricter code than those built before.
So if I rent some cool retro apartment from 1978, I'm kind of taking a gamble.
Statistically, yes. A pre-1981 building might suffer significant damage in a major quake. Post-1981 buildings are designed to not just withstand gravity, but to absorb all those lateral forces.
And the newest ones are even more advanced.
Oh, yeah. The newest high-rises use technologies like mention-base isolation.
Base isolation. What's that?
The building literally sits on top of these giant rubber bearings or sliders. The ground shakes, but the building just kind of glides on top of it. It's incredible engineering, but you definitely pay for it.
So if I see a listing that looks shockingly cheap, my first question should be, what year was this built?
Always. If it's cheap and it was built in 1975, you know why. But there is a little renovation secret here.
Ooh, go on.
There's a sweet spot. Buildings from the late 80s or 90s, they meet the safety codes, but they look old on the outside. Smart landlords will completely gut the interiors of these units.
So the outside looks like a drab old office block, but the inside is 2024 luxury.
Exactly. You get the brand new unit bath, the modern kitchen, the nice floors, but you're paying old building rent. It's the best value play. You just have to be okay with maybe not having an elevator if it's a 4-story walk-up.
Leg day every day. I can respect that. Now let's pivot to the thing that stresses everyone out. Money. We know Tokyo is expensive, but the upfront costs I've heard about sound almost predatory.
It is a very, very high barrier to entry. We're not just talking about a security deposit. We're talking about the infamous Riken.
Key money.
Yes. But the direct translation is gratitude money.
Gratitude. Who am I thanking and why am I paying them 2 months' rent to do it?
You are thanking the landlord for the privilege of letting you live in their property.
Come on.
Yeah.
In a modern economy, that just sounds like a bribe.
It's a relic from the post-war era when housing was incredibly scarce. Landlords held all the power. You paid a gift to secure a spot. The problem is it's stuck.
And it's non-refundable.
Completely non-refundable. You hand over 200,000 or 300,000 yen and poof, it's gone forever.
That is tough to swallow, especially for a foreigner coming from a market where that just doesn't exist. Does everyone still pay this?
It's becoming less common, especially in modern buildings or with agencies that target foreigners, but in the traditional market, oh yeah, it's still very much the standard.
So when you add it all up,
When you add the Raikin key money, the Shikikin security deposit, agency fees, guarantor fees, fire insurance, you often need 5 to 6 months worth of rent just to get the keys.
wow, that is a massive check to write. And this brings us to the cost of centrality, because 100,000 yen goes a lot further depending on which train station you're near, right?
It's a perfect linear trade-off. If you want to live in Minato or Shibuya, the cool central districts, you're paying with the zip code. 100,000 yen budget there gets you that 20 square meter studio.
But if I'm willing to commute a bit,
If you go just 20 minutes out by train, say, cross the river into Kutu Ward or go south to Ota Ward, that same 100,000 yen might get you a 1 LDK, maybe 35 square meters.
so you're trading time for space.
It's a calculation every single Tokyoite makes.
Okay, let's look at the people who don't have to make that calculation. The expat bubble. I've seen listings in Roppongi Hills or Azabudai that are, well, they cost more than most people earn in a year. Who is renting these places?
This is a completely distorted market segment. We're talking about rents of 1.5 million, maybe 2 million yen a month.
That's like, what, 15,000 US dollars a month? It's staggering.
It is. The people living there are rarely paying it out of their own pocket. This is the realm of the corporate housing allowance.
Ah,
A global company sends their top executive to Tokyo, and part of the package is a subsidized luxury apartment.
so the market price isn't even real.
It's artificial in a way. Landlords in those specific areas, Minato, Aoyama, they price their units knowing that a corporation is footing the bill. It creates this bubble where you have bilingual concierges, gyms, spas. It's a 5-star hotel lifestyle, but it's completely disconnected from the local economy.
Speaking of the local economy, this brings us to a huge topic, buying. If rents are so high and you plan to stay for, say, 5 or 10 years, the logical Western brain says, buy a place, build equity.
Right.
But Japan completely flips that logic on its head, doesn't it?
Completely. In the US or the UK, you buy a house expecting it to double in value over 20 years. In Japan, traditionally you buy a house expecting the building's value to go to zero, virtually zero. There's a deep scrap and build culture. A wooden house is often considered to have a lifespan of 20 to 30 years. After that, they're often just torn down. Even condos depreciate pretty rapidly compared to the West.
So why is the buying market so hot right now? I read that apartment prices in Tokyo hit record highs in 2023. If it's a depreciating asset, why are people buying?
2 words: interest rates.
Ah.
Or, to put it another way, money is free.
So while the rest of the world is dealing with 5, 6, 7% mortgage rates,
In Japan, you can still get a variable rate mortgage for under 0.5%,
that's insane. 0.5%.
sometimes 0.3%. So
Okay.
even though the sticker price is, say, 100 million yen, your monthly payment is manageable because it's almost entirely principal. It totally changes the investment math.
And the land still holds value.
Exactly. The building depreciates, but the land in central Tokyo is incredibly valuable. And recently, luxury condos are actually appreciating, driven by a lot of foreign investors taking advantage of the weak yen.
It's such a complex mix. But let's bring it back to the person who isn't buying a penthouse or signing a 30-year mortgage. The person who just needs to be in Tokyo for 6 months or maybe a year. The medium-term stay.
This is where we see the biggest shift happening, especially in the post-pandemic era. And this connects right back to that MoveInStay.com data. They've seen an absolute explosion in demand for serviced apartments.
I used to think of service apartments as being just for those rich CEOs we talked about.
Yeah,
But that's not the demographic anymore.
not at all. It's the death of the salaryman model. People aren't moving to Tokyo for a 20-year posting anymore. They're coming for a 6-month project. They're digital nomads. They're entrepreneurs testing out the market.
And the traditional rental market with the key money and the rigid 2-year contracts, it just doesn't work for them.
It's way too rigid. But there's another huge factor, the empty room nightmare.
Oh, this is a good one. Explain what you mean by empty.
In the West, an unfurnished apartment might still have a fridge, a stove, maybe some curtains.
Right, the basics.
In Japan, unfurnished means empty, no fridge, no washing machine, no curtains, and sometimes no light fixtures.
No lights.
Yeah.
So I move in at night and I'm just standing in the dark.
You are standing in the dark, holding your suitcase. You literally have to go buy ceiling lights and install them yourself. Imagine arriving in Tokyo, jet-lagged, you don't speak the language, and you realize your first task is to navigate an electronics store just to have light in your bedroom.
That sounds like a guaranteed meltdown.
It is, and that's exactly why the service apartment solution is booming. It's the perfect bridge between a hotel and a traditional rental.
It's all about convenience.
You walk in, the lights are on, the Wi-Fi is working, the bed is made, the utilities are all set up.
That soft landing you mentioned.
That's it. MoveAndStay.com specializes in this because for a lot of professionals, time is more valuable than saving a few bucks on rent. Avoiding the incredible hassle of setting up gas, water, internet, and buying all new furniture, it's worth the premium. It lets you be productive from day one.
It makes total sense. It's shifting from housing as a product to housing as a service. You're paying for the flexibility and the peace of mind.
And you get to bypass the key money and the guarantors. It just de-risks the entire move.
So bringing this all together, Tokyo is this incredible high-density puzzle. You've got the shoebox 1Rs, the trap of the wall center measurements, the earthquake codes, the gratitude money, and now this whole new wave of serviced living. It's a lot to navigate.
It is, but it really forces you to be honest with yourself. You have to decide what actually matters to you. Is it the location? Is it the size? Is it the safety of the building?
Because you can't have it all.
In Tokyo, you can rarely have all three unless you have a truly unlimited budget.
That's the truth. You pick two, and you learn to love the compromise.
Precisely.
Before we wrap up, I want to leave our listener with one final thought. We talked about that scrap and build culture, how buildings are often torn down and rebuilt every 30 years. It's this constant cycle of renewal.
It creates a very dynamic city, for sure.
It does. But it makes me wonder about the psychology of home in Tokyo. In a city where the physical structure you live in is viewed as temporary, almost disposable, are you ever really paying for a home? Or are you just paying for the coordinates on a map?
That is the ultimate question, isn't it? In Tokyo, you aren't really investing in the walls, you're investing in the access. You're renting the lifestyle, the convenience, the neighborhood, the apartment itself. It's just a temporary vessel.
A temporary vessel in a permanent city. Something to chew on while you browse those listings. A huge thank you to MoveAndStay.com for the data and insights that powered this episode. If you are looking for that soft landing, they are the place to start.
Absolutely. Check the seismic date, check the measurements, and good luck.
We'll see you next time on The Deep Dive. Stay curious.